say hello to the video.
Martin!
Hi, I'm Tom from Roadrunners. I'm also a producer. I run Sonar Studios. I thought I would do a little video on the most recent Roadrunners track, Wait For Me, which was recorded here in Sonar Studios. And yeah, just going to show you how we actually produced the track and everything that kind of behind behind the scenes, I suppose. I've never done anything like this before, so it's gonna be very, very awkward probably. I thought the best way to start it is we'll start instrument wise, and then we'll go into detail on things. So starting any track, the kind of first thing we want to do is obviously the drums. With this track, originally, with most tracks that we're doing here, the band will come with like a demo of the track in its entirety, hopefully played to a click. But yeah, they'll come with the demo, so we got the acoustic demo through from Heather and Mason. And yeah, this is how it turned out. So after getting the acoustic thing, obviously the drums they weren't coming in at the start of the song, and we've got this whole 76 bars, sorry, before the drums actually come in. What you might notice if you're looking at my DAW here is that we've put it into 2/4, which seems like a really weird time signature. I think we actually counted it out to maybe, was it 6/4? It was a weird time signature, and it just made sense to put it into 2/4. Don't come at me in the comments, please. It just made sense. I'm going to play the drum track just now, and we can see what it sounds like. You know, it is. I was about to say it's a basic drum beat. It's not. Right? The drummer was good, but it is. If you've listened to the song on Spotify, it is quite a slow, chilled out song. I don't know if my plugins will show up, so let's show what we've actually got on these drum channels so you can actually see it. This first one is the kick. If I click on this, is it going to show up? What we're doing here with the channel EQ on the kick drum is I've got a kind of low shelf EQ, which is kind of coming up about 30. It's only coming up to about 11.5 decibels. And then I'm dipping the mids at about 500 hertz, down to about minus 18 decibels, and then a high shelf up at 6k. I think the exact number is 6,100 hertz, and it's only coming up about 8 decibels. That's what we're doing for the kick. The snare, again, I will. If you can hear that noise, that's me taking screenshots of the EQs so that I can put this in post. With this, again, the low shelf, we're dipping it at about 134 hertz, coming down about 6.6 decibels. Peaking a little tiny bit, only up to about 5.2 decibels at the 244 hertz mark. And then the only other thing we're doing is we're dipping the highs with a kind of high shelf at down to minus 6.8 decibels at about the 4,780 hertz mark. It doesn't seem like a lot that we're actually doing with these EQs, but the reason the drums are a little bit easier for us is I use the Stephen Slate triggers. So let me open up this so you can see my drum one and screenshot that. So with the drum one, what the Stephen Slate drums are actually doing is they're taking your audio that's coming in, and based on whatever you're putting your parameters at, we're replacing the kick with a nicer kick. So I think our actual kick in the studio, let me mute the rest of the drums. Also, as you can probably see, I name all my drums really weird. We've got the kick, then we've got the snare. Then we've got the hello tom, mid tom, four tom, OLOR. I think as long as whoever's producing this track knows what we're talking about here. Everything's fine. So here's the kick without the trigger on it. Okay. So one of the reasons that I use triggers is I don't know how well that's coming across on the video. Okay, you're definitely hearing the kick, but what I don't like with a lot of drum sounds when we're recording is getting the kind of bleed from the rest of the kit. Like realistically, you can hear the entire beat through just that kick pedal or kick mic. So what we're doing, we're putting our channel EQ on it. We're just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. And then I hit on this compressor right here. If you're interested in compressors, you can have a look here. This is the settings that I put on for the compressor. Putting a threshold at about minus 14 decibels, ratio 4.1 to 1. Makeup is just at 0. The knee 0.7, attack 77 milliseconds, and release 100 milliseconds. I don't mess around with a lot of it on the drums, but that's where we set it at. So with the channel EQ and the compressor on it, our kick now sounds like. And listen, like it's still a nice kick. It's not bad, you know what I mean? But throwing that trigger on it, we're now going to get. It's taking away all that bleed, and we get to replace that actual kick sound with a. Okay, there we go. We get that nice, put our channel EQ on it, our compressor, and then a little bit of reverb. Okay. We're going to take this little 4-bar phrase over here. Okay. In context, we then add in the snare. Now the snare, obviously we showed the EQ for that. Here is the compressor that we use. Again, threshold's about minus 14 decibels, ratio 4.2 to 1, makeup at 0. Knee 0.7, attack 10 milliseconds, and the release on this one is 57 milliseconds. If we add that in to our normal snare without the trigger on it. Okay, we put the trigger on and we get a nice. Okay, in context, it still sounds a little bit muddy and things. What we'll then do is add in our overheads. With the overheads, right, I'm going to show you something really weird here. Is the this was shown to me by one of my friends who's also a producer. It's something that he does with his overheads, and it's basically when we're adding the hi-hat in, or the cymbals and the hi-hat and things. I'm going to mute the kick and the snare, and this is what we're going to actually get through our overheads, and it's going to sound a little bit off. It is a little bit strange. Okay, it does sound strange, but see, putting that in with the kick and the snare. And now it's starting to come together. Now, obviously, in this little passage we've got, there's no toms. So here's a section that does include some high tom and some floor tom. Okay, so here's the EQ we use for the toms. Now, I am not lazy. I just like the sound of it. I use the same EQ on all the toms. We're bringing up one of the kind of peaks at 106 hertz, doing a +4, up about 4.5 decibels. All the toms on the drum kit. We're bringing up one of the peaks at 106 hertz, putting up about 4.5 decibels. Doing a drop at about 486 hertz for 15 minus 15 decibels, and then a little bit of push at the 7,000 mark, coming up about 3 decibels. Again, we're using the triggers. If you use the Stephen Slate triggers at home, for the toms, I use I think they're called Fat Tom. Let me double check. Yeah, Fat Tom. Yeah. So I use those for all of them. You get Fat Tom 1, which is your high tom, Fat Tom 2 is your mid tom, and Fat Tom 3 is your floor tom, and Fat Tom 4 is me. So putting that all in, we've got a nice little bit right here, it's got a nice little fill on the toms, and with everything that we've done there, it's going to sound like... You know, it's a nice beat. It's a nice beat. Okay. So next, what we'll do is we'll look at the bass. Because normally this is the next thing I kind of do. Will be the bass line, which is me. Oh. So there's the bass line. I have this Helix Native thing here. Get rid of that. It's not actually on it. Channel EQ for the bass here is a nice little screenshot popping up. I'm dipping everything at 40 hertz, taking everything out. Anything below 40 hertz is getting rid of. 106 hertz of a peak for 3.7 decibels, and 412 hertz peak for 3.4, and then in between that there's a little dip at 230 hertz area, and then a little drop at 1000 hertz of literally only half a decibel. I think actually, if you can see up the top left of that screenshot, it does say jazz bass, so I use the jazz bass preset for the EQ. We also throw a bass amp on it. This is what I use for the bass amp. I'm using a customized model of a classic amp, and the cabinet is a classic 8x10 inch, using a dynamic 20 microphone. I'll take a screenshot of this amp as well, sorry. Bringing up the EQ at about 40 hertz, keeping 100 where it is, 250 a little bit below it. 625 hertz we're keeping where it is. I cut out everything at 1560, and then a little dip at 3900, and then I cut out everything at 6600. Without the amp and the channel EQ and the compressor, we're going to get a bass line that sounds like... Now, when we're taking that bass sound and we put that amp on it, basically what that amp is doing is it's getting rid of all the kind of picking sounds. Not all of them, but not all of them, but most of them. Once we have the channel EQ in, it does kind of help. And that's it. Put that in with the drums, and you get a nice little drum and bass mix. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean that. Now we'll look at the guitars. We'll use this same... I don't know how many guitar tracks we've got here. There's only 3. So first we've got the Brit and Clean, which we haven't played around with. So basically what happened with the guitar tracks was Heather and Mason actually recorded these away from the studio. They recorded them on their own DAW, and used these settings. So we've not had to touch them, but with the... So it's just a nice little acoustic sound. The other guitar is doing more of a kind of leady thing. And the only other guitar is this one up the top here. Now, I think most of the sounds here are probably coming from the guitar pedals and stuff that they're using. They're probably plugging into the pedals and then into the DAW. So altogether, our guitar's kind of getting a nice. Okay. Now with that, I have done a little bit of EQing on that high, on the lead guitar. Not much. It's just dipping at 165 hertz. We're just kind of having a little dip there, and putting a little bit of reverb on the track as well. Just to make it kind of get that stadium feel is what we're kind of looking for there. Putting the reverb on it's going to make it feel like you're in some sort of stadium or arena, basically. As well as that, obviously, we are kind of panning the guitar, the lead guitar especially, kind of over to the right hand side, because most of the low drony stuff like the bass is going to be panned over to the left hand side a little bit. It kind of gives the electric guitar its own place to kind of breathe. So you get like a. So that everything's just not front and center, like right in your face, you know? Cool. So that's your drums, your bass, your guitar. Let's have a look at the vocals. There's a lot of vocals to look at here. Yep, there's a lot of vocals to look at. We got the vocals recorded and we cut them all up. There isn't actually that much to talk about. We use three things. I've got a preset for Heather Anderson now when I work with her that makes her voice sound fucking beautiful. Firstly, instead of an EQ, we use this Butch Vig plugin for the channel EQ, which is just really nice and really brings the voice out. Same with the compressor. Here's a picture of the compressor up on the screen. What we're doing with Heather Anderson here is we are putting the threshold at minus 22.5, the ratio 4.1 to 1, makeup at minus 4.5 decibels, attack at 1.5 milliseconds, and release at 91 milliseconds. And then the last thing I do is this add silver. This exciter, and I use the preset add silver, which just gives it a little bit of I don't know the best way to describe it. I think the best thing to say is like it's an exciter. It's meant to excite it a little bit, you know what I mean? But it means we get this really nice. Let's get one of our high notes up the top here. It's going to punch a lot more. Rewatching the same video that you showed me a while ago. Here I am, admiring the fact that you feel like my new home. You know, so really there isn't much to talk about with the vocals there. It is all about I found a thing that works for Heather, and I use that as a preset, and it's beautiful. The only other thing that we can really talk about is we did go in and do a few things after we recorded the drums and the guitar and the bass, which was, I put this in as pishes. If you're Scottish, that's going to sound so weird to you, and I do apologise. But what it was getting some beaters and thinging on the cymbals and making like a psh sound. You know, and we've done that 3 times. The only other thing that we have put into the track, which is different, is up here. It literally is just a reverse crash, a reverse cymbal hit. That's all it is, just to bring in the chorus. And it just kind of brings in the chorus a lot bigger for you. So here's that chorus coming in. And that's it. The only other thing is this little acoustic track here as well, sorry. At the start of the song, they recorded live and it had some rain in it, and we thought it was just like a really cool sound. So that's how we got that. That's how we got that. Anyway, that has been a nice little deep dive into how Wait For Me was produced. Remember, it is on Spotify right now. You can go ahead and listen to it. Obviously, I'm doing this video here. I've kind of it's recorded in my studio. What I will say is, obviously, Heather Anderson and Mason were a big hand in actually producing this track as well. We've done it as all together, basically as a band. But yes, I hope you enjoyed watching it. And if you enjoyed it, let us know down below if you enjoy these kind of walkthroughs, because they are quite cool. Give the channel a little subscription and let us know if you like this, and I can do it for some more songs if you want. But yes, thank you, and I'll see you all next time.